Introduction. On the outskirts of town, savage thorn bushes grew, heaving and heavy and terrible too. They covered what was and was tangled and new, like an octopus blanket of green growing stems, attempting to swallow your time and again. What once was once paradise and the dreams of a few does rise from the fire and ashes to glory. He could see blackberries stirring as birds landed on nearby branches. The summer had been a hot one. Yellow grass fell asleep under half-burnt Scotch broom. With a slight wind, seed pods rattled the underbrush. Suddenly the sound of metal squawked a few notes from behind bushes. An iron frame slowly emerged as grinding noises rattled in progressive tempo. Animals tiptoed along the old tracks, watching the scene develop. Soon an entire steam locomotive emerged from an engulfed field of thorny bramble. As machinery churned, vines tore and uprooted with the movement of ancient train cars. Were they hidden for 50 years or more? The noise was incessant, growing larger as entire sections of rail line flashed, rusty cleavage, affixed to tracks appearing from nowhere. As the sun was setting, a line of 10 to 12 cars throttled toward the west. He spotted a pole with some sort of control box on the edge of the field along the newly formed track. His mind went from wonder to fear as the engine and its line of cars sped up in the direction of downtown. At this rate, a train of this size and speed moving downhill could derail and wipe out entire buildings. While examining the control box, he looked for an off switch or a brake or something that could slow it down. After a few flicks of the lever, nothing changed. Rusty boxes rumbled onward as the ground quaked with heaviness and immediate danger. 2 or 3 times he flicked what appeared to be electronic switches or speed controls. Nothing changed. Next to the dial and just to the other side of the control panel, he spotted an emergency phone. Just as his hand reached up to grab the receiver, the phone rang. "Hello? Anyone there?" After a surge of electric crackling white noise, a voice burst forth from the static. "Don't worry about it. It will be okay." "Dad, is that you? I miss you." "I miss you too. Don't worry about it. Randy has taken care of everything. It will all work out." "I love you, Dad." The phone went back to static, then nothing. He hung up the phone and watched an entire rail line disappear at rapid speed out of sight as the sun finally set behind the mountains. It was an eerie calm as he gave into the dream. Chapter 1. The Owl, the Mouse, and the Broom. Once there was an owl who had 2 sons. The youngest was a mouse, and the eldest a broom. They lived along a stretch of railroad tracks, winding through a small town. Surrounded by mountains and tall trees, the family had to work together, finding food to eat. On the coldest of January nights, Owl would send her sons out to recover food scraps, tossed next to a dumpster or just inside an open garbage can. Mouse could climb up and peer inside. With some small strength, he'd pull out a wrapper containing half-eaten hamburgers and knock them onto the cement walkway. Broom used his head to sweep objects in any direction. Owl was waiting perched in her favorite tree by the train station. She expected dinner soon and knew with enough coaxing her sons would always follow through. The oldest son was told he needed to share everything he found with the youngest. Since Mouse was younger and smaller and not as strong, Broom would have to move things into place. Since Broom was long and tall and possessed no arms, he could not reach into tight corners or secret places. Mouse could sneak and watch and hide and nibble on crumbs, while Broom stood tall but only swept in one direction or another. Each day and week and month and year was the same. Owl wanted dinner and always offered to share, but it was never her fault or job if nothing was found. Owl would say, "You should have looked harder," or she would retort, "Your little brother is having a hard time. You need to help him." Other animals came around looking for food. Mother Owl told her eldest to use his broom head to bat them away. "This is food for our family, and we cannot feed the whole neighborhood." So Broom did as he was told and smacked other animals out of the way. His whiskers were tough from many years of practice. Possum went sailing into the ditch. Raccoon got a bump on the head. Worm didn't know what happened. She just ended up in a woodpile. "Good, good, keep them away from us," Mother Owl would say. "They don't deserve a thing." For many years the three of them worked together, and for many years they kept the other animals away. One day Broom had an idea. If Mother could help search for food by using her claws and superior vision, that perhaps, maybe, the family could share extra food with the other animals in town. While nervous, Broom decided to bring it up over dinner one night. "That's ridiculous. I will do no such thing." Broom was getting tired of sweeping trash and unwanted food every day. His head was sore and body aching. Many of his whiskers had fallen out or had broken off. Little Brother Mouse remained silent in his room. After listening to the two exchanged words, he spoke up. "This is why I should be called the oldest and wisest brother. I never complain, and Mother always trusts me to help her." Mouse looked up with a smug, smiling smirk, while Mother Owl chuckled to herself. "Owls are the wise ones, and mice are the meek ones, and brooms just need to do their job." "Okay, Mother, I am sorry." "Well, I accept your apology, and we will do better next time." The very next week, spring came, and the family was out again, rummaging for a daily meal. Mouse had found a candy bar somewhere near the railroad tracks. He went in to investigate, but caught his little foot on the way. Mouse realized he could be crushed as the train would be coming soon. He squealed for help. Broom heard the little cries and hopped over. He swatted several times and could not free the mouse from the pinch he was in. His little tiny foot was speared by a sliver. The railroad tie had him hooked into place like a pin needle. Mouse was laying over the metal track, and sure enough, the train let out a few toots from several miles away. It wouldn't be long. "Help! Help! Help! Help!" Mouse cried as Mother stirred from her afternoon nap. Broom kept swatting as Mouse trying to save him. Whack! 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 The broom was losing hairs and breaking apart. His broom head became shorter and shorter. Finally, Mother Owl swooped down to help free her baby boy from the splinter he had impaled himself on. Desperately, she worked with beak and claws and flapping her wings upward. The train came closer, and the steam engine let out a huge blast of noise. Only minutes remained. Broom swatted and swatted until his head was only the size of a baseball. With a screech and a tiny scream, the railroad cars passed over Mother Owl and Baby Mouse, killing them instantly. Broom fell backwards into the street. His mother and brother were dead, and now Broom was free to live alone. The abuse had come to an end. No more taking orders or living like a servant to his cruel relatives. But then he realized there would be no one to help him. His broomhead was almost gone, and life would be very, very difficult. Alone, he hopped across the parking lot and looked for a place to lean. He found a corner behind the gas station. Day after day he stood there as customers went in and out of the building. Some glared at him in disgust. He was a shabby, homeless broom with nowhere to go. His family was dead, and he could barely survive. One day workers came to open the store, and the broom was nowhere to be found. Where once he stood day after day was an empty spot next to a garbage can. Ah, poor broom, you swept your last. Nobody loves you after all of this. Your life was ended. Your family is gone. Sing with me this lonesome song.